Hey everybody, welcome back and thank you again for checking out my channel. Uh, so I am completely disheveled right now. As you can see, I haven't shaved, my hair is a mess, haven't cut it. I look really, really tired. Reason for that is I have been just hammering at this project right now. And after 1 week, I am now exactly 33% of the way to my goal. So this is huge. If I was to stay at this pace, the Sunday before Thanksgiving, so going to that last week, I'd be done. Uh, Realistically, this isn't going to happen. My calendar back there, you can see kind of like back there, I've got some appointments coming up over the next few weeks that are going to probably derail some of my days where I'm just not going to be able to get the same work I was getting this week. So it's good to kind of be at this place where I'm at, just so I have a little bit of buffer room, a few days in between, as it were. So we're doing awesome though. I am just very, very, very fired up right now. And the writing is going really well. It is strange how good it's going. Um, yeah, it's strange. You've seen me on here talking about my other project, and all my frustrations and all that stuff. And I think part of the reason why this one's going really, really well is I'm not putting a whole lot of pressure on myself going into it. I'm not kind of in my head about how this has to come out and how it has to look. I'm pretty open to sort of how this story unfolds. So I did go in, as well plotted as it is, I went in with this idea that I'm leaving a lot of spontaneity and I'm allowing a lot of this sort of pantsing idea, this kind of idea the story is going to kind of, I've got a nice outline, but the story, as far as the details goes, is going to kind of take on its own organic nature, and we're just going to roll with it. We're just going to roll with whatever interesting things happen, and just kind of keep the story going towards at least this general concept of where I want it to go. So that's part of it. Another part of it is the story is simple in that I only have one main character, and really, I think the biggest reason why it's working so well is it's kind of, I'm kind of due up, as it were. Like I'm sort of due a good story, if that makes any sense. And what I mean by that is, there was a study. This is a little side tangent, but you'll understand what I mean in a second. Some years ago, there was a professor at one of these universities that gave these kids in their university art class a goal, and half the class he divided up and said, "We're going to be doing pottery this year," and half the class was assigned one project. And so they were going to be judged solely on the quality of one project they had to do over the course of the semester. So at the end of the semester, they're going to judge your pottery, the bowl. I think it was bowl making, I believe. So they're going to judge the quality of the bowls they make by just basically how good it meets the aesthetics and the judgments that people put on that sort of art, the form, technique, the whole thing. The other half of the group was told that they were going to be judged and graded based upon quantity. So they were none of the bowls were going to be judged based upon how aesthetically pleasing they looked. It was simply how many you could produce. So if you produced like 50 bowls, it was an A, 40 a B, something like that. I don't know the numbers. At the end of the semester, the best bowls, despite the fact that one group had to work on just quality, the best quality bowls actually came from the quantity group. They had just made, the people that were doing the quantity work were so focused on just getting one done and moving on to the next that they didn't have time to think. There was no time to worry about the analysis paralysis of getting in your own head about the quality. They simply sat down, got to work, made a bowl, moved on. And what happened was, just out of a means of probably just odds, odds and percentages, out of the 50, say the 50 they made, one was really good. 2%, right? A 2% chance of making a good one, you make 50 bowls, one of them's going to come out good. At least, again, law of averages and all that stuff. I think that might be what's happening now with my book right now, where it's just going really, really well because I'm sort of focused on the quantity side of it and not the quality. It's like the first time, I think, in maybe ever, that I've really, really focused on just getting this word count done. And when you do that, when you take that mentality out of worrying about the quality of it and how it's going to look and what people are going to think and all that stuff, and needing to be really, really right the first time and all that stuff, switching it up and focusing just on word count, what's happened is this sort of, I don't know if it's subconscious or what, basically, this sort of thing is kicking in, basically, where it just flows. The story is just flowing and it feels really organic and it's just clicking. And I think a lot of it is just not being in your own head. It's not being in your own head, and it's focused on just being diligent with the project. And so maybe that's it for me. Maybe that is a sort of law of average thing kicking in for me now. It's the idea that, you've been producing so much work over these, especially, over years, but even these past like 6 months, I've been doing this, kind of these videos here, that finally now when I shut my brain off, some good stuff is coming up. You've kind of mined your way into this. So who knows, who can say why, but it is going really, 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 really freaking well. And I'm certain when I get to my second draft here, I'm going to talk all about all the mistakes that I made and how bad it really is and all that stuff. So certainly there's a lot of it is just staying drunk on the writing, as it were. But at the moment, I'm loving the project and it's clicking really well. So here's hoping to another week of this. Here's hoping that this thing just keeps going forward and we kind of stay where we're at. Yeah. So I will give you guys an update next week. If anyone else is following along, by the way, leave in the comments, by the way. I'd be curious if anyone else is doing Nano this year or not. It's a very disorganized thing now that the organization's gone. So we're all kind of doing it ourselves here. But if anyone else is doing it, leave it in the comments.